Did you know that you can pinpoint the exact days in which you can or cannot get pregnant? That's right. Just by looking out for very specific signals from your body, you can determine the exact days in which you can or cannot get pregnant. The days in which you can get pregnant, we will refer to as your fertile window, which on average lasts 5 to 7 days. And what we desperately want you to understand is that if you can read these natural signals from your body to track this fertile window, it will change your life. The method of reading these signals that we're going to talk about today is called the Fertility Awareness Method. The Fertility Awareness Method is the safest, most cost-effective, and popular form of holistic birth control in the world. The Fertility Awareness Method is very nuanced and slightly different for each person. But in this video, we want you to walk away understanding the basics. First, what we must understand is that on average, an egg might only be viable for fertilization if introduced to sperm for 24 to 36 hours out of every month. Let me repeat that because this is very important to understand. An egg is released from the ovaries into the fallopian tubes and waits in the fallopian tube for fertilization for only 24 to 36 hours before it's shed out or washed out in menstruation. As we already said, when this 36-hour time frame occurs, you're considered fertile. But it's crucial to understand that there are days surrounding that 36-hour period in which sperm can live safely inside the uterus and cervix, waiting to fertilize the egg. In fact, the sperm can live safely inside the uterus or cervix for 5 to 8 days. So even though you may not have ovulated yet, or your ovaries haven't released an egg yet, if you engage in unprotected penetrative sexual intercourse within this 5 to 8 day period, you can still get pregnant. This 5 to 8 day period is called the fertile window. Our amazing bodies provide signals that cue us to our ovulation time and to this fertile window, allowing us the power to choose whether or not we want to try to get pregnant. The 3 fertile signs. One of these 3 signs is the basal body temperature. Your temperature raises by 0.6 to 0.8 of a degree right after ovulation. So after your egg has been released for fertilization and you're headed towards your period, your internal temperature raises by slightly less than 1 degree. How can you tell? With a special thermometer. However, while this is a helpful sign, it can be affected by many factors, such as a cold or a flu or a fever, and it requires you to do some subtraction to figure out the exact days that you are ovulating, considering that your temperature only raises after you've ovulated. Again, this is helpful, but it might take a few cycles for you to get used to. The other 2 fertile signs are based on the cervix. While we may be unfamiliar with it, the cervix is an incredible part of the anatomy that gives us lots of information about ourselves if we just listen carefully. Depending on the time of the month or the point in the cycle, the cervix might be open or closed, or move up and down the vaginal canal during ovulation. But these changes might be challenging to interpret, and we don't want you to get confused. So what if you want your body to signal you exactly when you're ovulating? Well, then you're in luck. Because it does. The 3rd and most effective signal of ovulation is cervical mucus. Cervical mucus? What is that? It sounds wet. If you can get a little more comfortable with the cervical mucus, you can determine exactly when you're fertile. Throughout the month, the cervix secretes different fluids and mucus of varying texture, color, and quantity. Based on these textures, colors, and quantities, we can determine if we're infertile or fertile. In the period of time leading up to the fertile window, the cervix secretes a mucus that is cloudy or creamy like lotion, whereas in the time just before ovulation, the cervix releases a mucus that is sticky, stretchy, and translucent, like an egg white. But how do we get up close and personal with this mucus in order to examine and evaluate it? This is where the FemCap comes in. The FemCap is a device made of medical-grade silicone that can aid in preventing pregnancy or in determining the fertility window by fitting snugly over the cervix. It can sit there from 12 to 48 hours straight, and it's so comfortable it can't even be felt. The FemCap is the perfect tool for collecting cervical mucus without confusing it for other vaginal discharge or other fluids present during sexual activity. By using the FemCap to collect large quantities and good quality cervical mucus straight from the source, it helps you identify the exact days when you're fertile and when you're not. Then, it's up to you to decide whether or not to engage in protected sexual intercourse to either prevent pregnancy or not. Spoiler alert, you want to avoid pregnancy? Just keep wearing the FemCap. You want to get pregnant? Take it out and get busy. For much more information on the FemCap and for sources on the fertility awareness method, please visit our website, www.femcap.com.